Already in the chat. What's up? What's up, everybody? Fred says celebrated Reese's birthday yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday. Did you guys get some cake?
Let me find my phone so I can send a tweet out that we are live.
Hello, everybody. We're going to get started, and we have some interesting things to talk about, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. And we're going to talk about giving up your car, what's actually going on with the housing crisis, whether or not it's okay or not to interfere with wildlife. And we might actually touch on sex cafes. So, yeah, we might cover some other things. But those are our main topics today. So, as you populate, we will start after you populate. So, hello, hi, Alexa. What's up? What's up? And hola, hi, Chuck.
So April, I could fill you in on how my week's been since we last talked.
Yeah,
you have a little bit of knowledge on this, but
I'm seeing your duteous priest get up here.
Yeah, I've got the Dude Love shirt on, so I'm totally Big Lebowski in it. And by the way, my best friend's mom, for my, I want to say 30th birthday, maybe, she made me cupcakes, white Russian cupcakes, and the way that
they were Caucasians.
They're Caucasians, yes. She made white Russian cupcakes, and she made them like a bowling alley, like the Big Lebowski. Like she made like little fondant bowling pins and like a little bowling thing, and like had them with the cupcakes and everything. It was amazing.
That is amazing. And hi, AB Twitch.
Welcome,
hi,
everybody.
Kenny. Hey, Allie. Hello. Hey, what's up, Belinda?
I woke up Saturday with my tooth not feeling very well, and April, I have this really bad infection. You can't really see the swollenness because of the beard. Mm-hmm. And it's so bad, I'm going to show you. I cannot open my mouth any further than sticking my pinky into my mouth like this.
So no bacon double cheeseburger for you.
And if I was gay, my boyfriend would be really upset with me for about a month, probably.
I can't see how your girlfriend's not upset with you.
You can still use your tongue and your lips and get up in there, April. You know how that works.
Well, I'm just saying. Work around it. Make it work. And it's funny, for those who don't know, with Colin not feeling well, this all happened while he was on a much needed and rare vacation.
The last 2 days. So yes. At least I got most of the vacation enjoyed before this happened.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I got to give you props for even showing up tonight. Thank you.
It's kind of funny how it's a little therapeutic sometimes.
Yeah. Why do you think Aaron would wear a robe?
Well, not even just being here to do the show with you and getting some things off my chest with everything that's gone on in the world that we have to talk about today. I mean, there's a guy that you were telling me about that had a relationship with an octopus, and I'm not talking about the type of relationship the Deep had with an octopus. It's close though, April. It's very close.
Legs.
They could have.
You're looking. Let me see those legs, baby.
when the octopus, when he looked at her and said, "She wants to taste you now," and the octopus just laid its arm over her, I
died on that.
The direction of that,
great. Yeah. That was so great. There's so many like, what the fuck moments on that show. And if you don't know what we're talking about, we are talking about The Boys on Prime. If you have not seen it, you must. There are 3 seasons. Every one of them are like, wow. Yeah. And Doug, hello. Hi, Eva. Hey, Jamie, what's up? Hey, I see Jameer. Hello. And I'm going to do your cameo right after this. So thank you. Outer Fox, you made it. Hey, I love my good Atamas. Yes. I just found another one the other day that I must have like dropped somewhere. And I was like, there's another one. I love these little Japanese eggs that I have a little depressed. They're like depressed. And I love it. They made a toy that's represents the people who are depressed. And it's great. Colin looks like a time traveling hippie. He might be.
Could be. Could very well be.
Yeah. Buckshot Kid. Hello. Oh my God, Octomom. I remember her. Holy crap. That's a name from the past, right?
Yeah, that lady that had 8 kids.
Right? Red
Oh,
Sunny,
man.
hello. Hey, Wolf. What's up, Wolf? How are you doing? So good to see you. So yeah, I think did I catch everybody there? Nice
It
to
looks like
see
you got
all of you.
everybody.
Winona, hi. I guess we could get started. I just want to say hi to
Oh, and
everybody.
Brian's in the chat. Welcome, Brian.
Hey, Brian, you made it. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome.
Do you want to start with the octopus story?
We can. I mean, yeah. I mean.
So I had a video I wanted to show you first because well, you actually, I think the video would go better after you kind of tell the story about the guy and the octopus.
Okay. And do you guys, it's not like the guy in the octopus. It's not like,
it's not really like the deep.
It's not like the deep. So, yeah.
What's the documentary called again?
It's called My Octopus Teacher. It came out like, I want to say, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years ago. It's a very short documentary. I think it's about an hour. It's on Netflix. So where we're going with that, where we're going, I'll explain it. Should we start the show and just?
Well, I don't have.
We're not doing
my soundboard. I don't have my soundboard, so
we'll
have to. We're
that's
just.
What you're saying.
Yeah, we're just doing it. Right. Yeah. I don't have any.
Okay.
I'm gonna edit a point. There you go. I'm gonna edit a point in. You start the show, and when they watch it on YouTube or later on Patreon, it's gonna have the intro and everything on it. So
all right, we'll do it. Welcome. Let's go. Hello, bonjour, V Gates, konnichiwa. Welcome to the A Show. I am your host, April Hunter. This is my co-host and producer, Colin Wysong. We are happy to see you here. Colin is under the weather a little bit, but he is the man to still be here tonight. You know, very American of him to show up and work sick. I like it. That's some fortitude. We have some cool stuff to talk about. So what brought this up, this octopus story, was, all right, so I rescued 2 chickens a week ago, and yesterday, one of them got attacked by a bobcat. There was a bobcat in my yard. I've never seen one. I mean, I've seen one cross the street before. I live on a woods preserve. This one was up close, and they are beautiful animals, but not when they're wrapped around your rooster. And my rooster was giving a fight. I have never moved so fast in my life, and I sprinted out. I mean, the last time I moved this ninja fast, the cat was going bleh, 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 bleh. You know, and I'm trying to catch it before he goes. You know, it's like bleh, bleh, bleh. You get like 4 or 5 of those before you got to slide something. You're like, fuck, try to catch it with a book that you hate. Anyway, bleh. So,
I'm gonna probably end up saving that to my soundboard. I'm just gonna have an April going bleh, bleh.
That's true, right? So I jumped so fast, and this cat looks at me. We had a moment. We had a moment, and we had eye contact through the window, and like he knew. I was like, "You motherfucker!" And I went out, and I went right up to a bobcat, and he looked at me, and he grabbed this rooster and looked like he was going to run off with it. And then I was like, no. And then he's like dropped it and ran. And then I chased him across the yard out the fence. So I don't know if I've run that fast before, you know, like I don't run. I'm not a runner at all. Like you have to be a zombie, like not like a Walking Dead zombie either, like a World War Z
like one
zombie.
Of those 28 days later zombies.
Yes. So yeah. I'm not running for anything. But I actually pulled my hamstring. Like today I was like, oh man, like last night it started kicking in. So Rue goes running into the coop and he seems fine. But then this morning he does not seem fine. Like, I don't know if I can't tell if he's in shock or if he has some kind of internal damage. Mm-hmm. You know, his breathing seems not so great. So I've been fussing around him and focusing on him today. And so if I'm a little off, that's why I'm like in and out of the coop, you know, trying to give him attention, watching him. I don't know if he's going to survive. I hope he will. But that was terrifying. And I was telling my friend Eva about it, and she was saying how I was telling 2 of my friends about it, and they were giving me their own breaking up stories. And Eva was telling me how she has many times stopped a hawk from taking a bird. And she's a bird person, and she was saying how sometimes people will chastise her for it, like, oh, that's nature, you shouldn't get involved.
Yeah,
you're not supposed to do that. What about if they're messed up? And hey, Fred, what's up? And I thought to myself, I'm like, well, hang on a second. You're not supposed to interfere in nature, but aren't we nature? Humans are nature.
Yeah.
Maybe we're an invasive species, but we're no less nature than those shitty ass bufu toads that are out there that are annoying. I mean, they're still out there. They're nature too. So aren't we nature interfering with nature? So how many times has an animal stolen a kill from a hunter, or a hunter chased off an animal to take the kill? So what's the difference if you do that, or if you chase off a hawk that's killing a bird, or if you interfere with a mountain lion trying to take a baby?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. But I think people would see a baby being different than like a puppy or a dog, like, or a cat. Because, in California, people's dogs and cats go missing all the time because of the mountain lions out there. Yeah. And I'm sure it happens in Florida too. Well, coyotes, yeah. And you got Eagles, gators and stuff down there,
yeah,
that can come up out of the water and grab things. So I see, like, I think it's harder for people to, I think people would compare like nature compared to like a domesticated dog, right? Because people see dogs and cats a little different, right? But I do think people would probably, if they saw a deer trapped somewhere, or you've seen them where they've seen elephants trapped, in rivers and things like that, they've tried to go out there and rescue them. I think we are supposed to be the keepers of the animals, the shepherds, as it's stated in the Bible that we are supposed to rule over the earth and the animals and everything. So I think do
the grizzly bears know that?
Well,
because I'm pretty sure we're not at the top of the food chain, like we like to think.
But we could, if you think about if back in those pioneer times, those colonial times, I mean, you killed a bear. Think about what you had for the winter time for your whole family. I mean, that's like that's a good eating. You got bear pelts. You got fat to run your lanterns. So that right there is, again, you're procuring nature to use for things around the house, feeding your family, articles of clothing. So I do think that we can get involved in nature, because they get involved in us. You'll see, as you'll talk about with the octopus, but there's dolphins that save humans from shark attacks.
Yeah.
And it could be that the dolphin's just attracted to that human and just really wanted to have sex with them, and they don't want the shark to eat the human. But I think that, they still interact, and they still try to save us, and they still try to do things to us, but we still have to remember they are wild animals. Look at Steve Irwin and the manta ray. Look at Siegfried and Roy and their tigers. I mean, look how long those guys had worked with that tiger, and then it went after his neck. So
I know. Well, Jim is asking where it came in. It came in exactly where you put up the extra height in the woods. So that's where it came in. And Belinda's saying, I don't remember that. She said, you've always had that protective mom sixth sense. Remember that time you saved me with the mom arm? I don't. What was that? I know that, like, some people, have a fight, flight, or freeze. I know mine is always to fight. It just, like, it's not even a thing. Like, I just stupidly rush toward whatever. And I've been in those situations so many times where I just go and then deal with the damage later.
Yeah.
So no, I don't remember. I don't remember what that is. Feel free to elaborate and tell me.
I've got a quick little clip here that I showed just to show you that as much as they are nature, they don't understand things that like we have. And like a mirror, most animals don't get a mirror, right? So let me show you this clip that I saw the other day from a wild bear that saw its reflection.
Mm.
So they've got cameras and a mirror out there, and you see this bear, sees his reflection, freaks out because he thinks it's another bear, and then just goes to town I mean, look how that thing's standing up perfectly.
Yeah.
Like, how do you think that some people that think that they see Bigfoots, they're probably just seeing bears walking around on their fucking hind legs out in the woods? No, you think it's Bigfoot?
I don't know. I went to a Bigfoot museum. They got a lot of interesting stuff there. And if you guys are in Georgia, you got to check out the Bigfoot Museum. I didn't believe it either. I'm like, this is all bullshit. Then I go to the museum and see all this stuff. I'm like, maybe it's not complete bullshit. There's some stuff here. But all right. So I did some idiot came. Belinda saying on a road trip to WSU, some idiot came from nowhere when we were lost. He threw out the mom arm to make sure I didn't get hit with whiplash. That's funny. So I'm the protector, I guess. So, but thanks. So I'm trying to. So my point to this is, a lot of people we tend to think we're humans. We're so separated from nature. We're nature's here. We're here, but I don't know if that's the case. I think that we have separated ourselves from nature.
Yeah.
But realistically, we are still nature. And if you ask certain groups of people, they wouldn't even hesitate. If you say, "Are you nature?" They would say yes. You ask people that come from Native American descent, they'd be like, "Yes." So you ask us, where we get everything out of a plastic package, and we've never actually had to kill our own food, and we don't go outside and have ceremonies, and we're just like, we're like, I don't know what nature is. I sometimes walk my dog. So Chuck says a guy I work with hunts and killed a bear with a bow and arrow. My theory is he laid the arrows in the forest and started talking, and the bear plunged the arrows into his chest to get him to stop. Oh God, I might know that guy. That is hilarious. Red Sunny says, "Can I ask you something?" Yeah, of course. You guys can throw your
in the chat.
Throw your 2 cents in and ask. So I saw the documentary called My Octopus Teacher. If you guys haven't seen this, along with The Boys on Prime, My Octopus Teacher, I believe, was on Netflix and was given an award. The only reason I watched it, because I was like, this is not my thing. The only reason I watched it is because so many people were talking about it. So one night I sat down and watched it. It was only an hour long, I think. And it was about, I don't know if he was a biologist or a diver or both, but he was originally diving to do some kind of a study. And he, I don't want to say entangled with an octopus, but he met an octopus, shall we say, a female octopus. And they kept crossing paths, and she kept looking for him, and he kept looking for her. So he's doing this year-long documentary, and it ends up turning into a documentary about her. And he made himself a promise that no matter how this documentary went, he would not interfere with nature, no matter how much he wanted to. And he was not an animal person, he said. So it was about how she taught him all these things and how smart octopuses, am I saying that? Octopi?
Yeah, octopi, octopuses.
How smart they are. And there were times, that she would be getting attacked and he would not do anything. And I'm watching it and I'm just like, just fucking do it. How hard is it just to go over and punch this thing on the nose? It's like you're going through the water. You're like, ah! And you know what I mean? Just do something. And he's doing nothing. He's just filming it. And I'm like that would be me. I was just like, I can't take it. Right now, he would be getting attacked and she'd come out of nowhere and like head it off, like a shark would be coming toward him. And she's like, boom. So it was interesting. So like, if you get a chance to watch this, watch it. And then of course he does the voiceover later explaining, he's like, this is why, he's like, it was really hard to watch. This is why I didn't get involved, but blah, 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 blah. So it was a very interesting documentary. It just reminded me when I was talking to my friend, because like I said, she was getting chastised for saving a bird that, a hawk had tried to take and kill, that I was like, well, I don't know, they're like, oh, maybe, after that, maybe the bird's got stressed, maybe it's damaged, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. You should have just let it happen. I'm like, well, maybe you just actually saved the life of a bird. maybe it's really just that simple. Maybe you just interfered with a hawk and you saved that bird's life, and it'll go on to live another day.
Do you think that people that stop to move turtles across the road, they're well, I get that. My girl did the same like a few weeks ago. But that's, do you think people would see that as interfering with nature? I don't think so. I think most people would stop and pick up the turtle and put it on the other side of the road. So I think the one thing that really makes us different from animals with how we think is our consciousness. The fact that we have that self-consciousness, right? Like, what animal's going to be in the water and be like, I think I'm going to sit back and not help this person? Most animals probably aren't going to do that because they're instinctual. They don't have that self-awareness to be like, all right, I'm going to sit in this water and watch this octopus, and I'm not going to get myself entangled into all of this, right? And then the octopus, of course, does not have that same thought process. So we think, and goes and saves this guy. I mean, octopuses are super intelligent, April. I'm going to show you a video of an octopus getting closed in a jar.
And elephants and dolphins. And I can tell you there's a lot of animals out there that have a lot more intelligence and consciousness than we have given them credit for in the past.
All right. You can still see that, right?
Yeah.
All right. So here they are. They're going to close this lid fully. And this is about a minute. I'm going to speed up through it. But so they tighten the lid up. And you'll watch, I'm going to speed up about 20 seconds. You'll watch as the octopus is trying to figure out what's going on. And you see the little white arrow.
Mm-hmm.
It's twisting the lid off. It's figuring out how to twist the lid off. And it's slowly going to twist this lid off.
It's got little suction cups.
Yep, until it gets out. I mean,
damn, I know people that can't figure that shit out.
Babe, I can't open this jar. Hang on, let me grab my octopus.
That's me.
Maybe the Flintstones were right. Maybe we should be using animals as our tools.
Yeah.
Like,
maybe.
This is just an amazing, like, there he is.
Oh, look at that.
He's out.
He's like, surprise.
Now he's coming to kill him. Like, how dare you trap me into this?
I'm going to come to your house and lock you in, bitch.
I mean, amazing animals.
They are, and that looks a lot like the octopus that's on the show. You gotta see this documentary. So
I'd love to see one in the water.
Yeah, DD Hawk says if an octopus can open a mayonnaise jar, problem solved. Right? Hello.
That's what I said. Look, look, babe. I can't. Can you grab the octopus to get this jar open for me? Like, yeah, I got you. Just have him open it.
JD Smith says supposedly they have 9 brains. Is that true? Wow. I don't remember from the documentary, but that would explain a lot.
Oh, here you go. Brian, level 1 consciousness elements, rocks, level 2 consciousness animals, and then level 3 consciousness us. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But what about stuff like dolphins, which are supposed to be equal to or possibly even greater than human intelligence?
That's true. They may not have that self-awareness though. Like, but that's how do we know if these animals have self-awareness?
Right. They might, and we just don't know because we don't speak their language, but allegedly they all speak different languages. They travel in families. You can't just throw a dolphin in with another dolphin because they have pods, families.
Oh, that's what he says right here.
Oh, they can reach lower levels.
So there must be classes for it too.
And humans, a lot of them are at lower level too, right?
Probably. A lot of our politicians.
I mean, on Twitter, I see that all the time, I think.
A lot of the people running the World Economic Forum.
Yes. And so, speaking of that.
That's called a segue, April.
I like that. Well played, Colin. So, tell us about the World Economic Forum and what is going on.
Well, as we've talked about on the show before, the World Economic Forum, and by 2033, wants you to own absolutely nothing. And some of the ways that they're going.
Wait, can we throw something in there for a second?
Oh, yeah.
BMW is now going to charge $18 a month as a subscription so you can have heated seats.
So you can warm
something that used to come standard. So this is the way everything is going. So everything's going to be a subscription, even the things that you normally had with what you paid. This is ridiculous, having to pay a subscription for heated seats. And it's like, when does it stop? You know, it's not going to stop. They're going to keep doing it. Okay, go.
Just wait till you turn in your iPhone after your contract runs up, so they can go through your iPhone and see what you've been doing on it and everything. That's probably what's going to happen when you have these subscription-based models. So we'll start here. Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum. Let me
right, which I accidentally called Charles Schwab on another previous show because I was tired. So if I was Charles, I mean Klaus.
He is instructing governments that people should no longer own private cars. You should also do without your smartphone, using instead of owning. Basically, he's saying renting instead of owning. This is intended to reduce the alleged effects of climate change. I love how they're using climate change
for everything
to rule our lives.
That's what they're doing, to try and take all the farmers' land. Yeah, we're going to use climate change to pass laws so that we can legally steal farmers' land that have been in their families for generations upon generations. That's why the Dutch farmers are protesting,
and Sri Lanka too.
And they're trying to do it in Canada now as well.
And it's going to hit the fan. I mean, they have you seen the Sri Lanka stuff? They're raiding the presidential palace and all that type of stuff. You know, the people are. And so by 2030, he is urging a lot of the world's governments to people should also give up their private vehicles. They want to ban combustion engines. We need clean energy revolution, and we need it now. And unfortunately, he's got a lot of World Economic Forum global leaders in positions of power. Vladimir Putin, Trudeau, Angela Merkel. There's a lot. Clintons that come from Klaus Schwab, and they're slowly Green New Deal. A lot of this stuff that they're trying to do, they're trying to buy up your car, buy up your houses, which we'll get to that video in just a second. But what are your thoughts so far on like the car situation, April, and your cell phone? Like, they can't do
they can and they will.
Well, they can and they will, but at what point is there a tipping point?
What's more is they're going to use the corporate-owned media. There's just 6 media companies, which they own. The same media companies, the media companies are owned by pharma, big tech, and food. So they're going to put a spin on anything to make it seem appealing. So they're going to make everything new and shiny look appealing so that you want to go out and get this new shiny thing that is subscription based. I'll stick to my old stuff where I own it and I don't have a payment. Honestly, the ultimate freedom is being out of debt so you can live free and do what you want. Living on very low debt or no debt is the way you want to be. Having payment after payment after payment, you're in debt and debt and debt and debt, so that you have to work no matter what. If you miss a payment,
fully own it.
Huh? No, you never fully own it. And then they can implement, and then they implement your social credit score. So miss those payments, they'll write reviews. So so you're talking about they want to go to like no driving Sunday. They want to start having us carpool. They want people to take the cars off the road and enforce bicycling and walking. Now, okay, that might work some places. And the idea behind it is a noble one in general. This is something that the Netherlands have been doing for ages. There are places where there are more bicycles than cars, and people walk. A lot of Europe, they walk. A lot of Paris is walking. These people don't go to the gym; they walk. They use the stairs. So, and this is like I said, this is a noble idea on the surface, but if you dig deeper, it is not.
It's not. They're buying up all the properties. They're buying up everything. They're going to make you rent cars. Like you think Enterprise and Hertz, but no. My friend put me onto this new thing called Turo, and it's been out for a while now, but it's a lot more popular. And you can rent your car. Like I have a 2012 car that I could probably rent $60 a day, possibly maybe $30-$40 a day. But you can go on there and rent Benzes, Rolls Royces, Lotuses, like all kinds of cars. And
Yeah.
as long as you're above a certain age and you
It's
have
the Airbnb
insurance,
for cars.
yeah. And it's these rich people who are just letting you, or car dealerships that are just letting you rent their cars instead of selling them. And so as the car sits on the lot, they're still making money off the car sitting on the lot because they're letting you rent it.
Yes. Allie says the WHO and the WEF are two of the worst organizations ever established. Amen. There's the legitimacy there. Just there's a documentary coming out called Uninformed Consent. Highly, highly recommend. I think we all need to watch it. It talks about how we were all duped into so much this year and not fully informed. And those two organizations, along with the CDC, were behind all of that. We have been lied to and bamboozled like crazy. And like I started to say, the media is owned by these corporations. They will fear us and steer us in any direction. And we need to know that because knowledge is power.
Well, so I saw this today, and I don't know how much this is reverberated around the news, but apparently Chuck Grassley, a senior senator in the U.S. government, wrote a very scathing letter to the DOJ and the FBI about how they are colluding basically with the left, and that they censoriously, like that's the wrong word, but they went so hard after Trump over stuff that wasn't real.
Mm-hmm.
But yet they're actively suppressing the president's son on a laptop with underage hookers selling crack. In any other time in history, if Ronald Reagan's kids were found with crack back in the 80s during the dare to keep kids off drugs thing, it'd have been a scandal upon scandals, right? It would have been the biggest
Obama's
scandal.
kids.
Yeah, or Obama's kids or anybody's kids.
He was already black. He can't have crack in his fucking family. That's not going to work out.
And he's just talking about how the DOJ and the FBI need to be disbanded. Something needs to be happen to root out whatever's in there of these people that are turning a blind eye. And it's just so bad, April. Like our economy is probably about to go into a recession this week. We're about to get the numbers for our GDP growth, and it's probably going to come out really badly.
Do you remember when I said last year on this podcast where people were like, "Oh, we're in a recession"? I'm like, "No, we're not." I said we're going to 2022 is when we're going to be in a recession.
Well, if the government has its way, and especially like President Biden, because his approval ratings are already low enough, they're trying to actively change the definition of what a recession is.
Well, they actively changed the definition of what is it called?
They changed the definition of
what natural
and a female.
Is.
So.
Yeah, and what a woman is exactly.
What a woman is. So with that, they're just changing definitions to fit their narratives because they don't want to. Biden doesn't want to be seen as just this incredible fuck up president that he is, and they're like everybody. It's on board that they've changed this definition. When if you look it up, the definition, any economist will tell you 2 quarters of negative GDP growth is a recession.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll find out that, yes, we've been in a recession because you don't get your Q2 numbers until the end of July, but we're in a recession. You've been telling us the whole time that we're not in a recession, that you're lying to us. Like, I don't get, April, this is the thing that hurts me is how do they just continue to lie like this, get called out on it, and it's pretty blatant that and people still just eat it up. They're still going to try to vote them in. They're still going to follow everything that they do.
Because there's a divide and conquer agenda with the 2-party system, and you have to not be a Democrat or a Republican. You have to be a moderate and not play into this 2-party thing because they're just playing us against each other, and it's stupid. There's a lawsuit going on that actually is getting some traction against the government and social media for censorship. So apparently, social media has been taking government money to censor and to pull articles and to,
if that's the case, they're breaking the First Amendment.
Big time. So they are now being sued, and it looks like there is a valid case there. So hopefully it actually something happens with that because it needs to.
Yep. That's it. Vanguard is right. Both parties.
Both parties. That's people try and blame. It's not. Both parties are the shits. There's something wrong with all of it. It's. I swear to God, it's like pro wrestling. They work together.
Yeah.
To make it look like, a heel and face, and then in the back they're all working together. Because I was very political when I was living in Louisville, Kentucky, and I worked with a lot of lobbyists, and the lobbyists go to both the Democrats and the Republicans. They're all working together. Like the number one thing you can do right now is renounce being a Democrat or a Republican. Like if you're like, oh, I don't know what I can do, that's what you can do. That's the first thing. Secondly, you can stop believing the news, because all that's on the news is mass hysteria, like shootings, climate, like just see through it. Teach your kids to see through it. So it's not good. It's not good for our mentality. It's not good for it's not good for a healthy anything, So shut the news off. Watch your social media, and I know it's really difficult, believe me. I had to go and I have to stay off Twitter, because it's almost like an addiction. You get that dopamine hit when you're like angry and arguing with somebody on Twitter. It's like, but I don't understand. Like you have to limit it, like literally set a timer. Like I'm getting off Twitter after 6 minutes. But no, like you, Colin, I don't understand how people can still understand, and that some of these are intelligent people too.
Yeah,
still buy the narrative. So you were talking about your friend with who is he's a kind of everything, a financial expert.
Yeah. So this guy, I've tried to get him on the show before. If you want to check him out, his YouTube channel is Kamikaze Cash. I'll show the video so you'll be able to see the screen. You'll be able to catch some of it, but. He does stock stuff, mostly like trying to educate you on like options and different little plays that you can do in the market. Any of the guys that we have here that are in the military or going in the military, he's got videos on maximizing, I think, like your ADRs, your ADS, whatever it is that you can invest in while you're in the military. He's got videos on that. He's made $1 million investing in the stock market, basically, over time. And he uses those strategies, and he's been trying to branch out and do different videos. Like I've shown you some of his freeloading videos and things like that. This one here, he says that you'll own nothing and be happy. And he's talking about how the middle class is kind of fucked because of how big corporations and companies are buying up all of the houses. I want to say that Big Ray is fake news, because Big Ray is my best friend and I was at his wedding. So you are fake news, sir.
Fake news, Ray. So, I probably get 3 to 4 offers a week on my house through calls, letters, or texts. It's out of the blue. It's weird. So the fact that these big companies are buying up entire neighborhoods in cities does not surprise me. And this is Blackstone and BlackRock.
Yeah, and I'm very surprised, because my hometown is close to Charlotte, and you'll see the colors that he uses. It is a dark brown color, which means they are buying a lot of housing.
Atlanta, Jacksonville, Tampa Bay.
These are because it means talking trash about very powerful people. But I want to talk about it because I'm angry. I'm talking about this map, and the worst one, this map. These maps are just a few of the cities in which large corporations are gobbling up residential real estate and depriving aspiring homeowners of achieving their American dream. There are zip codes out there in which more than 50% of homes are being purchased by investors.
Going right over Gastonia, where it's dark brown and brown over there to the west.
Into a rental unit. We don't have enough construction of new homes as it is. We can talk about the reasons for that another time. But this massive influx of corporate buyers coming in with deep pockets and cheap credit, they're screwing everything else up for the rest of us, and we're all just letting it happen. Not only
we are letting it happen.
Legal systems allow this behavior, but they actively encourage it. For corporations who can beat out regular buyers in the real estate game, this is a really, really good hustle. Before I go any further,
can we link the video in the chat?
Any fundamental problem with landlords. We want people to buy real estate and invest in it so they can improve it. We want there to be a supply of rental units for people that want to live somewhere for a short time and they don't want to buy. And I have absolutely no problem with somebody moving to a new house And rather than sell their
housing
old
in
one,
Tampa
they
is so
become landlords
expensive
of it.
and rents
No
are
problem.
out of control.
Sometimes it just makes sense for Grandma Prudence to downsize
and they're
to a
going to
smaller
say
home.
that,
But she doesn't want to sell her old
the
one because
renting's going to be like go so much that it's going to be, owning a house would be cheaper because of the way that the rent and everything works. Once they start buying up all the houses and all that type of stuff. I'm trying not to get us dinged. Here we go.
I was jamming on that song. I love
saw
that song.
Oh, we got another commercial.
Oh, that's a good song.
I hate commercials. There we
But
go.
I like good songs.
that is true.
Give me something good.
And that's fine.
Oh,
But
all
we're
right.
not talking about Grandma Prudence here. We're talking about companies like Blackstone, Invitation Homes.
See?
and
Blackstone,
American Homes for Rent.
BlackRock,
These are companies with hundreds
motherfuckers.
of millions in cash flow, tens of billions on their balance sheets, and billions of dollars in revenue. And the knowledge that if they continue to buy up residential real estate and keep it out of the hands of younger people, then there will be an entire generation that has to keep renting from them. And all of that money is coming straight out of the lower and middle classes' pockets and going straight into their pockets. These real estate leeches know that the best targets for them are growing cities and their suburbs. Let's look at Jacksonville, Florida, the third largest city for real estate investment companies. Corporate homeownership is pretty modest in the western suburbs, and then picks up the closer you get to the St. Johns River. But the highest zip code, 32209, where corporate landlords bought 54% of
those
houses
houses.
sold, looks like
They're
this.
just going to gentrify
This is
those
solidly
neighborhoods.
lower
Yeah.
middle class. I don't want to make too many judgments. But
So
the
I'm
people
going to stop it
living
right here.
are probably
But
not
let's
six-figure
talk about
earners.
this. So you see what that neighborhood looks like.
They're buying all like crappy neighborhoods.
Yeah, and you know what they're going to do? They're either going to
Be slumlords.
they're going to tear all these down, or they're going to rent all these houses out. And if they do tear them all down, they're going to put up apartment buildings.
I
to where
watched
they
the video. They're freaking slumlords, and they don't even answer their tenants' requests for basic stuff to be done. So
it's pretty. Yeah, it's terrible. What could possibly happen, and it is happening. And this is why we got to work hard, save our money, and get houses. April.
So why buy up real estate here?
My Swedish
An astute
grandfather
person
said that.
might say that
He always
investors
said
and
buy
corporations
real
buying
estate.
in this area is so high because this is an opportunity zone. An opportunity zone is an area that the government has designated with tax incentives in order to encourage investors to come through and buy property so they can improve the area. But this belief that corporate investment in this zip code is so high because it's an opportunity zone, well, that's not true. Jacksonville certainly has opportunity zones, but there doesn't appear to be an obvious correlation. In fact, there are opportunity zones where corporate buying is actually lower than adjacent non-opportunity zones. The real reason for large corporate buying in these lower and middle-class neighborhoods is more likely the lack of competition from regular home buyers and the fact that people who are on welfare can't afford a lawyer when you illegally evict them. Let's look at Charlotte, North Carolina. In general, it's the same pattern. Corporate buying is the strongest just outside the city center.
That's
The
a big
highest
brown
corporate
spot right
ownership
there.
is in the suburb to the
And that's-
northwest. Itself,
those are some
adjacent to an
expensive
opportunity
areas of
zone,
Charlotte, too.
but not in it. A middle-class area, this is what it looks like. And finally, Atlanta, the area of the highest corporate buying in the U.S. at over 1/3 of all homes sold. The pattern is virtually the same. And once again, opportunity zones don't appear to play much of a role. The
Kian
highest
doesn't like
corporate
his
buying
voice.
near the Red Ann neighborhood is marked with a blue flag. And you can see it's not an opportunity zone. The area looks like this.
Should have them
Happy
narrate
suburb
some
of
horror
blended
movies
lower
for
and
us.
middle-class homes. These professional leeches can swoop into these neighborhoods, make all-cash offers above asking with which regular home buyers cannot compete.
Yeah, they're
Who can
offering
afford to waive
$70,000
contingencies and
above
inspections
asking price.
with virtually no risk. Because if they need more money for
Up to
repairs,
100,000,
they
I've
can
heard.
dip into their
That's
multi-billion-dollar lines of credit and write off all the expenses. And if you think this corporate trend ended this year with rising interest rates, think again.
Right, Warren
Regular
Demon?
home buyers are getting mortgages at
Exactly.
about 5% interest, which stifles demand. But corporate borrowers can get rates at about
Five-finger
half
death
of that
punch.
with their lines of credit, or borrow very close to the Fed rate at about 1/3 of the average mortgage for a regular borrower. In essence, as the real estate
I'm
market
getting
gets
cuddle
tighter for
buddy
regular
offers.
home buyers with interest rates rising, corporate buyers
scary.
are in an even better position comparatively. Although there has been some decrease in corporate buying, there are only two areas in which the proportion versus regular home buyers
Foreign
has
companies
decreased.
own a
Those are
lot of the
Seattle
United
and Milwaukee.
States.
This is Steven Schwartzman, CEO of
Abu
Blackstone.
Dhabi owns a
Here's
lot of
Dallas
New
B.
York.
Tanner, CEO.
China is wildly invested in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Americans don't know how many other countries actually own this country. We don't have laws preventing that. So if you were to try to buy land in, I think, Mexico or Jamaica, you can't because they have laws preventing that, I do believe. But anybody can buy our land. And excuse me, like I said, Abu Dhabi owns a whole lot of New York. And that this guy here is like heel number one, right? That we're looking at.
Him and the other guy, basically any of these guys that he talks about, that he shows these pictures of. I'll kind of go back. This guy
and smug white guy,
and the other guy. Oh yeah, it's always some smug white guy, and they're usually like German or Austrian too. Like it's so weird how they come from that area.
We will fuck you in the ass, and you will like it and ask for more. Jawohl. Sorry, it just came out.
Oh man. So I actually think I've lived in a one of those like Chinese-owned houses, April, because we found a house for rent, and it had literally been sold previously, like in the previous years, for like $16,000, and it was a 3-bedroom house. They were renting it out to us. We met the guy that originally built the house. And Billy Ray 3K in the house.
I see Billy Ray.
And he originally built the house, so he came by and helped do some things, but he had sold the house. Mm-hmm. And I don't think he knows who he sold the house to, but we would always get weird, like, mail with Chinese people's names on it. And we would assume that it was like the landlord's mail, because I'm sure you have to like have a housing address, or, you know, they if they're owning it through LLCs, they probably use the house as the business address or whatever. So we just assumed that we lived in one of these houses because we never met the landlord. It was done through a property management firm. And then, of course, the weird mail from like the Asian mail, and like white people lived in the house before us. So it was kind of like, where's this Asian mail coming from? So we assumed that we probably lived in a house that, you know, was owned by somebody overseas. Let's get back to the
CEO of Blackstone. Here's Dallas B. Tanner, CEO of Invitation Homes, and David Singeline, CEO of American Homes. These guys are ruining everything. Together, their net worth is almost $30 billion, and Schwartzman specifically makes a few $30 million.
At my height, my net worth was not $30 billion, though.
Every election cycle.
No, there were times I didn't have $30 in my bank account.
Your home. And in this next real estate winter, they will leverage their ability to borrow money at 1.7% interest to make a much larger offer on a house than you can at 6% interest. They'll try to present themselves as benefactors who make pleasant living conditions for their tenants. But read the UN Human Rights Council's letter to Mr. Schwartzman about Blackstone and Invitation Homes, and you'll discover a culture of threats and draconian punishments against tenants that are requesting minor routine maintenance. And when Blackstone is buying up houses in lower class neighborhoods, their tenants aren't in a position to bring a legal challenge against their landlord's army of corporate lawyers.
What's up, Cam?
And then I see these corporate landlords saying that they're just a fraction of all home buying, that most homes are still being purchased by people who intended to live there. While it is true that most houses are still being purchased by common folk like you and me, most is a really low bar. You're going to tell me that because only 45% of homes in zip code 30331 are being bought by investors, this isn't a problem. I mean, we have at least 16 zip codes across the Atlanta area where corporations are buying more than 40% of homes. Who are you fooling by telling us that most homes are still being purchased by regular home buyers? You're going to tell me that this 40% bite out of supply isn't a problem? We're facing a future in which common people will own nothing, and these corporate parasites will lord over us. Mm-hmm. And again, this isn't about
we'll have a lot of subscriptions, though.
When Grandma Prudence dies, and
does this? So someone sent me a really cool video about the origin of rednecks, and you know, it sounds like we're going back to the society where, you know, they would build a coal mine, and the coal miner, the person that owned the mine, would build the town, and then for you to work there, you lived in the town, and then if you didn't work there, they'd kick you out of the town. So it sounds like we're going back to this kind of a society. Like they're trying to work us back into this society. And what happened in those coal mines and those towns back in the day? People went and got guns, and they didn't put up with that shit anymore. And it was the far left. It was actually the far left that went and picked up the guns and fought the corporations and fought the coal miners and fought all that type of stuff, right?
Up until real recently, Democrats have been the party of the rebellion. Mm-hmm. They have been the party of fuck you. No, I don't think so. I don't know what happened recently. I don't know when they became corporate servants and ass-licking dogs doing the bidding of corporations and all that. I don't know what happened, but that was never how it used to be. They're always the ones that were the rebels.
Mm-hmm. Well, and now can you still be the counterculture when the mainstream media is behind you, the government's behind you, corporations are behind you, everything's is that really counterculture if everyone's behind you?
I don't know. It's tough, but I am seeing a really strong pushback and a really strong rebellion. And
they've got us brainwashed that it won't happen here until they really push us to that point. But we'll watch it happen all over the world.
It's happening all over the world.
Yeah, in Sri Lanka, in the Netherlands, and in Canada. Because the truckers was only the tip of the iceberg. If they start going after the farmers,
they're probably making a big deal out of January 6th, and that's why they held everybody, without any kind of trial or whatever. They're probably doing that to try and avoid this, to make it, like this is what happened. Don't try and think it's going to not happen again if you try it. But I don't know if there's some people that you get to that point where you're like, and this is what happens if they keep fucking with you and you don't have anything to lose. That's what's happening in other countries. They're messing with you. They're taking your land. They're taking your house. They're telling you can't go to school. They're shutting down your business. Now they want to take your car. You don't have anything to lose. You have nothing to do. There's nothing else left, but you pick up a weapon and fight. Because
they're going to come for those. After they've taken your house, they've taken your car. They're going to take your kids at some point in time.
They're already doing that now.
They're already trying to do
indoctrination.
I mean, and I get it. Like, I get that people want health care and child care for these kids with the abortion and stuff like that. Because, like, my son, he's about to go into daycare, and it's going to be $500-$700 a week. That's ridiculous. It's
cheaper to have one person stay home and take care of the kid.
And we're a one earner income family, and she's trying to go get her dental hygienist stuff done in schooling so we can better our family, and we can't even do that without driving ourselves into being broke or poverty.
Why do you think I never had kids? That shit's expensive.
It is expensive.
It's expensive.
Hey, I'm sure your fur babies are very expensive as well.
They are, but they're not like human nature kids expensive. But yeah,
you'd have been a great mom. I think most women that are great with animals, or you'd have been a great mom.
I would have been a great mom. You know what? My ex-husband used to say I would not be a great mom, and that actually really hurt me. Like, and he actually, you didn't even say it to me. I read it on a Facebook message to another girl he was hitting on.
Oh my God.
That's how I found out. I'm like, oh my God, why are you telling her this? What's going on? Yeah. So, as a matter of fact, that segues into something else real quick. Somebody asked me the other day on, I don't know if it was Facebook or Instagram or something, like they're all melding together. They're like, why didn't you ever get remarried? And I just automatically, I'm like, oh, because I didn't want to. And then I thought about it later and I was like, actually, that's not true. Exactly. That's not why. Why? It's because I never met anybody that was my equal. I never met anybody who's my equal. And I mean, I never met the yin to my yang. So, which is, it's difficult to say that, but it's like, I'm kind of a cool chick, I got a lot to offer. And a lot of times, I'm looking for the dude out there that has a lot to offer too. So, have you guys met the yin to your yang, your equal?
That could be a good topic for another show that we could talk about.
I know.
Did you want to finish the video or?
Yeah.
A little bit left
we can throw a little bit more in there.
Might die soon. Then her heirs are going to inherit the house and they'll probably sell it. That home will then re-enter the supply of houses. But Blackstone is not going to die, and it can.
He's talking about grandma dying and leaving the house.
So when Blackstone gets its hands on a house, there's really very little reason for them to ever sell it. I don't have all the answers, but something has to be done to stem this trend. In my opinion, one of the biggest misses in U.S. law is that we've allowed these real estate corporations to buy up entire riverfront neighborhoods and turn them into Airbnb rentals.
Yes,
or buy a bunch
bastards.
of lower class neighborhoods and turn them into fiefdoms. Perhaps the first step would be to find some means of preventing these real estate companies from borrowing money at rates at less than half of what common people can. It's bad enough that Blackstone can offer $70,000 more for a house than we can.
Or ads. All right.
Put on an ad with a good song.
This is like a terrible game ad.
When they can borrow more money at a fraction of our interest rate by selling these AAA graded bonds. In my America, I want middle class people to have a fair shake at housing, not get beaten at every turn by large corporations. Or if we really want to send a message,
there you go,
do
right
what
there.
They did in Berlin and pass a referendum that seizes houses from large investment corporations.
Yep.
If I spend enough time thinking about the housing trends in the United States, I can frustrate myself to the point where seizing the means of accommodation does not seem like such a crazy idea. A behavior by these companies that I really want to encourage is what American Homes for Rent is doing in some cities, including Charlotte. American Homes for Rent is building houses specifically to rent them out. And personally, I think this is the way it ought to be. If you want to be a corporate landlord, then you should be adding to the housing supply exactly the same amount that you're taking away. And building the house yourself is a perfect way to achieve that. Now, I'd rather see these building supplies and labor go toward people's houses that are actually going to own them, but this built-to-rent model is definitely better than large companies coming through and buying up swaths of houses and leaving people with fewer and fewer options. Although this information is...
Now, I can agree with that to a certain extent,
I don't either.
April, but I feel like those corporations, they're going to use shitty materials on your house.
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
Your walls are going to be thin.
Chinese walls, drywall, and
your house is basically going to be like a manufactured house, but it's not a manufactured house.
Bare basic crap house. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking the same thing. We're on the same page right here.
The person who owns a few houses and rents them out is not your enemy. If they are a respectful landlord, then they do not deserve your resentment. But these large corporate landlords,
we should watch videos and comment and
the
just
rest of us
pick them all
bribe
apart.
Politicians, charge or threaten their tenants when they.
It's a lot of people that do this.
We should do this. This would be fun.
These corporate landlords are not your friends, and their names are Blackstone, Invitation Homes, and American Homes for Rent. And there are others. Please, no one graffiti corporate offices. This is not about starting the American Great Leap.
I'm saying do it.
All I want to do is share my observations of this very serious problem and explain how urgently we need to solve this before these real estate leeches gobble up another 30% of houses during the next real estate recession, which we are already in. Thanks for watching, everyone. Join our free Discord, smash that like button, and subscribe for more. I'll see you next time.
There you go.
No. Now we know a little bit more. Yeah, I mean,
but they might even try to do that with the tiny houses.
Tiny house is okay. I've been following the tiny house movement for a long time. Tiny houses used to be between $13,000 and $19,000. Those fuckers are as much as a regular house now. Yeah, a tiny home is not going to be much cheaper than a regular home. You have to be like real smart about it.
So my mom watches a lot of those housing shows, and while we were at the beach, and
a lot of places won't allow you to have a tiny home.
So she was watching I guess it's like the same premise where they find, the one person's like an activist and the other person's like a volunteer, and they have like $1 million to buy a house.
That's HGTV.
Yeah. So this is the same thing. It's like these people that do all these things and have like their 5-person families.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're looking for a tiny house. And I watched these one people. Their budget was $175,000. April. They bought a 480 square foot house for $75,000 and used the $100,000 they saved to add on another 120 square feet to their house. But they're like a 3 or 4 person family living in a 600 square foot house.
That should be interesting real fast.
Like my parents said that the house that I grew up in was a 900 square foot house, but it seemed like it was a lot bigger than that, right? And I think it's because
I had 2 floors and it was closed off.
It was a 1 floor house. I think it was because the layout, the dining room and the kitchen had one of those like big open doors, and my mom always just left it open, so it seemed like the living room and the dining room were kind of like one big room. So the house just always seemed big to us, even though it was only 900 square feet. But the tiny houses are expensive, as you said. I mean, $175,000 for 600 square feet. I've got
That's
issues
brave.
with
That's brave. I mean, honestly, I don't know if I would move into a small place with a significant other, because familiarity breeds contempt. I mean, like, I would be that weirdo who would like be married to somebody, but we would each have our own place. Like, he'd have his life and I'd have my life, and then we'd have our life. And I'd be like, yeah, go do your thing. And then I'd be like, oh, I can sit here and wear boxer shorts and fart and not wear makeup. Not that I do any of that. I'm just saying. And then when they come around, you're just like, oh, yeah, hey, you know.
Oh, you're here. We can have fun.
And by the way, Winona, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
That's funny.
Yeah, but I mean, whew, I don't know. I think space is underrated as far as like giving each other space. I mean, not that I'm saying big homes are a thing, but it's such a trend now to have a tiny home and an electric car. A fucking electric car is like $50,000, and it jacks your electric bill up like 3 to 4 times what you're paying now, which is in Tampa Bay brutally expensive. Like, electric is so expensive. I can't even imagine. Like, I would love to have a hybrid or an electric car, at least till I have to pay for the battery, which is $1,500, $2,000, which is like an every year thing. But to plug in an electric car to run my bill up from $300 a month in the summer months for one person at 79 degrees up to, I don't know, 3 times that, almost $1,000 a month doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not going to, gas isn't that expensive. It sucks, but I'm not going to spend $900 a month in gas.
The thing I heard was if you get the charger for your house, like the car charger, it adds like having 12 refrigerators or 24 refrigerators, something like that. I think it's 12, but it's like adding, it's like if you plugged up 12 refrigerators in your house and just had 12 fridges running all day.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. And like when I'm driving, I don't drive that much because I work from home. So when I drive, I use the gas that I need. But if I have an electric car, I have to keep it plugged in whether I'm using it or not. So for when I do use it. So this just doesn't work out. What's that, Cam?
Cam said, how are you going to storm out? Like, screw you soon as my car charges in 2 hours. I'm out of here.
Right? 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 It's like trying to slam the phone down. I can't tell you. I don't know if any of you have had the satisfaction of slamming a phone handle down, or if you guys are too young for that. But that shit was awesome because you're just like, yeah, and then you pick it up again. You're like, yeah, and it's like you're over it. You're good because you're like, what a dick, and then you're fine. But you don't have that anymore, and it's just not the same to go. It's just not. There's no anger management in this.
There was a movement, though, because I remember this fondly. In like 2010, 2011, there were the peripherals for your phone that people were plugging up so they could have a handset, like the old school, like, and people were literally buying these things and plugging them up to their phone so they could talk on their cell phone, but like they're holding a like your normal handset. So you could actually like you got to put your finger on probably the end button, but you could like slam the thing down while you press the end button.
So, and Eva says, plus to make an electric car battery is so bad on the environment and disposal is not happening. And she would know. She's in the auto parts business. So, yep. I mean, that's a lot of things of what we're not talking about. Like the battery only holds the charge. Where's the energy coming from? That's still fossil fuels, isn't it? That's how it's getting there.
Yeah.
To some degree. So, I mean, like I said, I would love to have a hybrid where I could like save gas and do the whole thing, but not until everything comes down in price. Like my neighbor has solar panels. I mean, live in Florida, solar panels. It's a no-brainer, right? Except that it is. Because your bill is still at least $200 a month. That was before the hike. That's every month. anyway, and they don't let you go off grid here. So they cut your power if the electric goes out. And they say it's to make sure that somebody working on the lines doesn't get zapped. But
so you can't run a generator or anything like that, or have the solar panels power your house, even when they won't let you go off grid like that?
No, going off grid is illegal here. So it's crazy. Like they have a buyback program. If you have if you have a lot of energy, they buy it back for like, I don't know, pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
My neighbor says they still pay, $200 a month. And it's like, well, where's the savings there?
And well, so there's government subsidies and which, with what we talked about with the World Economic Forum, we may not be able to benefit from this, but the aunt whose beach house I'm at right now, with my palatial background, they just moved into a new house recently, and the house that they bought had solar panels on it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're already paid for. They were already, because a lot of times it's expensive, and the maintenance and all that type of stuff.
That's what he said. He said in 20 years it'll start working out.
The house, they I think she said they only spend like $50 to $70 on their electric bill every month.
Really?
And they live in a nicer neighborhood in Charlotte, and it's crazy that you buying it secondhand is actually better for you than actually financing it and doing it all yourself. But I see commercials all the time for, do you live in North Carolina and you want solar panels? There's ways to get solar panels free and all And I'm like, what's the maintenance cost? I'll have to go up on my roof at least 3 or 4 times a year to go clean these things off or do something with them. At least, there's a lot of maintenance. And if you don't do it yourself, you're paying that money out to have somebody come out and do it.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think it's great, but it can't be the only thing.
Yeah.
Like the wind power, solar power, it can't be. We have to have natural gas. We have to have coal. We have to have gasoline in some ways. And it's funny how they're taking the gas and the natural gas and things like that away from us, but there's still diesel in the trucks, diesel for the airplanes. They still need petrol and oil to make plastics.
Yep.
So, and that's probably what it is, April, is they don't want to admit that we're producing so much plastic that the gas isn't what's actually killing it and us having combustion engines. It's the fact that everything that we have nowadays is plastic. Everything you do. Your car is plastic. Your computer's plastic. Everything is plastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
it's just so much.
I know it is. And so Sportsmaster, hello. And somebody brought up, you would know more about this. Wolf says Vince retires, and it's quotes.
Well,
switching subjects for a second. What do
he
you?
Was pushed out because of the sexual allegation stuff, like the NDAs, which I think he paid with his own money. Mm-hmm. So that shouldn't be an issue, right? Like if he paid with it with his own money, that shouldn't be an issue, right? But he's stepping down. 14.6 million is what they said he supposedly paid in NDAs, and
14.6 million.
Yep, and they say it was all his money, and he still owns 51% of the company. So he still owns a controlling interest, but the board was able to vote him out and install Stephanie and bring in Triple H back as head of creative and head of, I think he's head of talent relations now too, mm-hmm. which a lot of people don't notice this. Steph and Trips aren't wearing their rings anymore. So there's a lot of rumors about them not being together anymore either. If you pay attention to a lot of pictures, Steph and the Game don't have their wedding rings on when they're pictured together. But that's kind of what's going on. But who knows? Vince could come back, but I don't think they will. I think this is the direction that the company needs to go.
So, somebody said if Steph's available, so am I. Yeah, I think she'll have a long line.
Yeah, I think she'll do great.
Yeah, and someone else said, and hi, Chowny Man, hello. Someone else said on the former topic for a second, solar panels are a 50-50 buy for me. Too much maintenance and not enough track record. We have to get back to being sustainable, but there has to be some newer technology on the horizon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Vanguard says solar panels lose efficiency the hotter it gets too.
Ha. And and on the current topic, Johnny Ace got fired too. Well, okay, so
and Bruce Pritchard, I think, got demoted, and they say that Kevin Dunn is rumored to leave after WrestleMania. So it could be one of those things where he's going to train whoever's going to take over production, and then he's no longer. I mean, April, you've known, you were so close to being in the WWE. You've known so many people that have been in the E. You know how pivotal Kevin Dunn and his family have been to the production and all that type of stuff with the WWE. And now we got no Vince, no Kevin Dunn, no Johnny Ace, no Bruce Pritchard. Like, it's the shakeup. I'm excited to see what's happening.
With didn't Tom Pritchard go to NWA?
I think he did. Yeah, Tom's with NWA.
Okay.
But I watched Raw Monday night, and really the only thing that I noticed that was different is that they opened with a brawl. Like, literally, the show opens and The Miz and Logan Paul are in the ring fighting, and then they've been fighting. So, for them to just kind of start the show that hot, when they normally, Vince would have somebody come out and do a 15-minute promo, usually 15, 20-minute promo to start the show. It's kind of refreshing.
So Kevin Nash said something that was a little controversial on his podcast. I believe he said that the locker room, the WWE locker room, doesn't look like anyone has ever thrown a punch, I believe. I might be misquoting that, but I think that's what he said. And I think people took that the wrong way. He said it looks like an Abercrombie and Fitch advertisement in there. And I think what he was saying, if I'm going to translate this, is he wasn't saying the workers can't throw a work punch. I think he was saying that it looks like nobody there is, an actual badass in real life. Like, they don't actually know how to fight. And, love him or hate him, Kevin does always keep a finger on the pulse, and he's not wrong on that. If you don't look legit, I mean, one of the things that made Brock Lesnar so popular is he's fucking legit. CM Punk, before he even went into MMA, he looked like a little bit off. You know what I mean? It looked like you just didn't know if something was gonna happen there. So when people look like they can fight, it lends legitimacy to their character.
Bobby Lashley, Matt Riddle, all MMA fighters. Matt Riddle was also in the UFC.
Yep.
Ronda Rousey.
Yep. We saw that. The reason I think that video was making the rounds with Batman. What's his name? Help me out here.
Christian Bale?
No, Brian Idol. Brian Idol?
Oh, yeah.
It's because it was real. He tackled somebody and knocked him down. Like, that was a legit fight. And it was like, okay, this guy's legit. So, and then I saw smart ass comments from people that have never gone anywhere or done anything. And they're like, well, what does Nash know? He can't cross the ring without tearing a quad. And to that, I will say, at least he's been in a ring to cross it.
That's true. And he was in one of the biggest moments in wrestling history.
And before that, he was a basketball player. People don't remember that, but he played for Louisville. So he's had a hell of a careers. So picking on somebody about having an injury.
That's right. Look, he was Super Shredder in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the second movie.
Yeah. So people want to, pick on him about whatever. Like I said, love him or not, he's always called it like it is. And, dude's followed his path and he's done things. And anyone can sit there and be an armchair critic who's never gone anywhere or done anything, wants to talk shit about tearing a quad. But the guy has worked his way into tearing that quad. He's actually done things to where the quad will tear. So
I think I watch a lot of UFC, and there's a lot of people that fight at 155 and 170. And that's because that's the average height. That's the
weight class
of everyone. Of everyone, based like the average height and weight of men and women, or men across the board.
Mm-hmm.
most wrestling megastars, I tweeted this out. I was subtweeting someone who recently got very angry at AEW because he lost his Ring of Honor title. This man is not a very tall man. His girlfriend is taller than him, or his wife is taller than him. And, most of the megastars in wrestling, April, are over 6 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
Andre, Hogan, Flair, Sting, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall.
Most of them are over 6'2".
You've got Daniel Bryan as the lone exception. I don't know how tall Shawn Michaels is, but I think he's over 6 feet tall.
No, he's my height.
He's under 6 feet.
He's a little bit taller than I am.
But another guy that was under 6 feet that crossed over, and Rey Mysterio. But what's different about those three that we just named compared to those bigger athletes that you saw? They had that character, they had that charisma.
Yeah.
And
they could wrestle.
And all this person talks about is how, he's playing the victim role, and if you don't know who I'm talking about Jonathan Gresham.
I don't know who that is.
He's married to Jordan Grace. He's like 5'3", 5'4". He's a great technical wrestler.
Do I know Jordan Grace?
I think you might.
Sounds familiar.
But we've talked about her before on the show, April, because she's
is she the one that says too much?
Yes, she's the one that talked about Scott Hall or Chris Benoit.
Okay, all right.
She put her foot in her mouth, right?
Wait, so they're this a whiny couple?
And I knew something like this was going to happen, April, because
are they a whiny couple who says too much on the internet and then gets heat?
Okay. I think he is starting to turn into her because literally he lost his title.
Isn't that a song? There's song lyrics like "I'm turning into you." It's like a metal song or something. It's so great.
So he lost his title, right? And then she goes,
War Demon, help me out.
complaining about something, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm sending this in our little wrestling chat that I have, and I'm like, oh God, here she goes spouting off at the mouth again about something, being protective about her husband, right? And then the next day, you hear these reports that supposedly Jonathan went and cussed out Tony Khan right before his match with Claudio, and was like unprofessional about I guess Tony doesn't really communicate well with people and all that other stuff, right? And he cussed Tony out and basically is going to retire now from wrestling because he just feels a certain type of way, right? So it's take my ball and go home instead of doing what's right for business, and maybe putting over a guy like a Cesaro, who again is a bigger guy, who has that WWE appeal, who is probably a bigger draw and all that type of stuff. And it's so sad. The guy can't help his height, but you can change your attitude. You don't have to play the victim card all the time. It's a shame. Well, at least he didn't Austin Aries it. Yeah, that's true.
I wish Jordan Grace can pec flex. How do you know she can't? Maybe she just doesn't. So.
Yeah, so that's what he's saying here. He's saying basically they mismanaged his character, and his career's been in limbo. But the pec switch is in.
But have they?
Well,
I mean,
he could have been the one doing it himself. It's like Jay Lethal not leaving Ring of Honor for greener pastures, when I'm pretty sure people came knocking on his door for him to go to bigger promotions, and he turned all that down.
You can never tell what's anyway. So,
let's see.
Someone said I think all of ROH talent's a little uptight right now.
Yeah.
So, and Fred says we'll see now that Vinny is out.
And see, and Wolf would know. Jay Lethal did turn down a shot in NXT or a shot on a shot at WWE and stuff like that. So, oh well.
And Red Sunny is saying, do that one more time. Well, you're welcome to throw. What are they? Throw bits, right? Throw bits, and you get flexes.
We also do the pec twitch towards the end of the show.
Yes, which we should be almost there now because we talked about a lot of stuff. We did not talk about the sex cafes, but that one could be for the next one. So that's a very controversial topic. But if you guys are going to be on the next one, we'll touch on that. Especially if you have watched Westworld and you understand the concept of an adult play area with that type of situation, this is where a sex cafe comes in. So we will discuss. So Winona says she also has a bad habit of doing a lot of baiting with the pictures she posts that are somewhat sexy and revealing, and then gets pissed when anyone references how she looks. I think we talked about that before. That's just weird to me. Like, I don't know. There's some things out there that are just weird to me. Like the concept of feminist. Like, what is a feminist? Like, that's stupid. Like, just you're an equalist. Like, you just want the same things that everybody else has. Equal rights. So the whole feminist thing, and when a guy calls himself a feminist, I'm just like, oh my God, don't do that. Like my pussy just totally dried up. Don't do that. So seriously, just don't go there. All right. No. So even when women call themselves feminists, I'm just like, are you though? Or do you just want equal rights, equal pay, equal, whatever. But at the same time, I think we confuse our gender sometimes. Like we try and not embrace who we are, and we're not comfortable with who we are. Like if you're a female and you want to use your sexuality or you look good, then rock it and don't be embarrassed of it and don't apologize for it, for fuck's sake. God gave it to you, use it.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting there getting mad at people about it. Go shake your titties and enjoy it. I would say I use the titties to get people to read my articles. I'll put a bikini picture up and 500 people will like it in 30 minutes. I will put a hard-earned, hard-researched article up that I have worked on for ages, or a story. And, this thing will take me like 2 weeks, 2 months to do. And like 31 people will like it versus the 468 in 30 minutes of the bikini picture. It's frustrating. So now I've started putting bikini pictures with the articles I write. Winning.
Apparently, he redeemed his points for a peck twitch on Twitch.
Oh, did you?
So as they watch on Twitch, they can accrue points and do certain things. So.
Twitch on Twitch. Okay.
Twitch on Twitch.
Twitch on Twitch. This is what we call it. We call it twitching on Twitch.
I know, Cam, you want to see mine too.
Yeah. Hey, all about equality here.
We're all about equality.
Natty Neidhart versus April Hunter. I love Natty. So
have you seen her pictures lately?
Yeah, she's fabulous looking.
Her and her sister.
She lives not far from me.
Her and her sister have some. We need to get an April, Natty, and her sister photo shoot. That would break the internet. Bring the cupcakes and the whipped cream, April.
Well, thank you. He says, I'll be part of those 31 people that like it, April. I love your intelligence. Thank you. I appreciate it. You know what? Thanks you guys for being here. Thanks for watching the podcast. I appreciate it very much that you guys are on here to actually hear what we have to say and listen to the, alternative views and topics that we talk about. I know a lot of my fans only want to see boobs, but it's nice that you guys go out of your way to actually pay attention to the extra stuff too. So it's appreciated very, very much. So thank you.
Yeah. Again, thank you guys. Again, find us on Patreon.
Yep.
At the
Patreon, the A Show. Yep. You can also find me on, yep. And we replay on YouTube as well. And you can also find me on Patreon, April Hunter. And I have an OnlyFans on April Hunter. And we will be back here again on Tuesday night at 7:30 Eastern. We'll talk about all kinds of interesting stuff. Colin, where are you going to be once your tooth gets better?
I'm not going to do the ridiculously random podcast. My tooth is hurting. So next week we should be back. Hopefully the infection is down and I'll be able to fit more than just a pinky in my mouth. That's as far as I can open it.
Just think about how you can lose weight. Like there's a silver lining to like everything. And right now you can stick to like smoothies and get in your fruits and veggies and just like, chill and drop a couple pounds.
It was bad when I had the stomach stuff. It's even worse now because I can't chew anything. And I went to
Chewing's overrated.
I went to Panera and I got some of their cheddar and broccoli soup.
Ah.
And it was so good, but I can't have a lot of dairy.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm like eating it like, oh God, I'm going to pay for this later, but it's so fucking good.
Take
like
a Lactaid.
The broccoli was mushy.
Yeah.
Everything was just so delicious. And so I ended up stopping eating it because I didn't want to have
Take a
more
Lactaid.
issues. And maybe I should.
Yeah.
But now I'm drinking Boost. I got the little sippy cup Campbell's soups that I've been drinking. So
those are so good, right?
We're trying to do what we can.
Try the green juice. That green juice is pretty good. It tastes like apple juice, but it's green. It looks weird, but it tastes great.
Where's that? What's that called?
It's called Green. Is it Green? Not Green Machine. Is that Green Machine? I can't remember the name of it, but it's a green juice. It's in the produce section in the juices. It's got all your fruits and veggies in there. So, and you guys, thanks. I appreciate it. Like, somebody said, I love having you concentrate on health and wellness. And someone else said, I love you for your brain. And I'm like, oh, you guys are sweet. Or the most attractive thing about you is your brain. Thanks, Chuck. Yeah, Green Machine. It's Green Machine. And they also have like Mango Machine and Berry Machine or whatever they are. They got a bunch. So those are pretty good. Those are some options. Also yogurt.
Yeah.
You could yogurt it up or put a little. I know it's dairy, but just cook it some.
One of the things that I've found though is like with this infection, I can tell like so it hurts to swallow, and it's like there's a lot of mucus going down the back of my throat. I feel like there's just mucus in the back of my throat. So I don't know if it has anything to do with my sinuses or whatever, but it's like anytime I drink something, I just feel like it's just take care of your teeth, people. Get the stuff fixed. Get dental insurance. Don't.
My grandmothers, both of my grandmothers said when they were older, they said, take care of your teeth and take care of your feet. Those were their part. Oh, and my grandfather said, buy real estate. So those are the wise words of my kin. Take care of your teeth, floss, use Listerine. Take care of your feet, buy real estate. So
this house,
the Palacio behind you?
Yes, the Palacio Beach House estate behind me. She bought this house 25 years ago. Mm-hmm. The land, $25,000. Mm-hmm. The house, probably about $160,000, right? Mm-hmm. There's literally an empty piece of property across the street. The land, $800,000. And it's on the Intercoastal Waterway. Yeah. But $800,000 for a piece of land. When 20 years ago, you could get it for 25 or 30. It's crazy.
Here's something to think about real quick as we leave. Because my grandparents bought their house for $30,000. And when it sold in 2012, it sold for $250,000. And the house and the land, nothing has really changed. Like same house, same land. So the same gallon of milk hasn't changed. It hasn't, they haven't put an upper deck on it. You know what I mean? They haven't upgraded the, high-speed internet and everything. So these things that are now so much more expensive haven't been upgraded. They just cost more. So we're not necessarily talking about inflation here. We're talking about deflation. Because a dollar is worth so much less now. And this is something you're not hearing about. All you hear is inflation, but actually it's the deflation. And if they were honest, they would call it that. Anyway, hopefully you guys know a little bit more. You can research BlackRock and Blackstone. Look out for some affordable real estate in your area. Work on your pec flexes. Hopefully you're getting wiser to what the weaponized language in the media actually means and to be able to decipher and decode it, with your special decoder pin that you get here on the A show. So we help you understand what's actually going on. And other than that, I guess we will wish Colin well. Hope you will feel much, much better. And we'll pec flex on out of here.
Oh my God. You know what I thought, April, when you said, just thinking about this just now? We should watch videos of wrestlers pec flexing and you telling, like, you doing it better and being like, you grading the different wrestlers that are out there.
Who wore it better?
And then you can just be like, I can do it better. So like when Adam Cole tries to pec flex and he just doesn't really have pecs, and then you're just over there like, boom.
Let's do that. Let's do that on the next show. Let's bring some pec flexing on, and we'll be like, you know, I'll just wear a tank top or something so we can be like, oh, I can do that. I'm not totally impressed. We'll talk about the sex cafes and we'll pec flex.
That's awesome.
Let's plan that show. That'll be the next show, right?
Give us tweet the A Show account. It's right here on my name. I'm used to my thing being mirrored. It's right here. Tweet it what wrestlers you would like to see us, and if you have videos of them pec flexing, send them, and I can download them and have them ready to go so that we can watch them and we can react to people pec flexing.
Yes, and also if you're on my Twitter, which is April Hunter, and you see the fundraiser for Eva, it's a medical fundraiser. If you can share that, if you can donate, awesome. If you can't, just share it. It's a good friend of mine. She's been on the show before. We all know and love her. She is very helpful to everybody. And now it's her turn. She needs help. She's going through a pre-cancer situation where she has to have all her lady parts removed. And that is going to happen. The first part of that, the total hysterectomy, is happening on August 8th. So, and there's a lot of gap there between what her insurance covers and what she's stuck paying. So we're all pitching in to try and help. So if you guys can help at all, or if you can share it, that would be awesome. And to those of you who have, thank you. It's much, much appreciated. I know many of you have. So it's your generosity is very, very appreciated. So you guys are awesome. So I will see you guys next week, and hopefully Colin will feel better.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye. Have a good night. Mwah.